Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for Monday, June 23rd. Board members and associate members who are present, Mr. Whitman, Mr. Keeman, Mr. Curran, Mr. Kimball, and myself, John Goldrosen. I should do this. Just before we get started, I'll just note that we held a little ceremony before the meeting, a social occasion, and we honored our retiring member, Wayne Andrews. We presented a plaque to him, and I'll just read it for the record. Presented to Wayne Andrews by your friends and colleagues on the Whitman Zoning Board of Appeals, in appreciation for your dedication in serving as a board member for over 40 years. The board and the town have benefited greatly from your lasting commitment to participating in town government. And Wayne told me that he also got a letter or something from the select board as well, thanking him for his service. Okay, I'm going to call the hearing to order for tonight. This is case number 11. Location of property, 7 Marble Street, Whitman. The East Building, type of district, general business, type of structure, also the multi-use overlay district, type of structure, change of use from business to residential of approximately 8,927 square feet. Owner's name, 7 Marble Street, LLC. Owner's address, 70 Quincy Ave, Quincy. When did you acquire this property? 2008. Has application been filed with town clerk? Yes, simultaneously with this application. Has any previous appeal been made? Yes. See certificate granting site plan approval dated November 14th, 2008. Section of bylaw of which relief is requested. Petitioner requests that the decision on application 21-2008 dated 11/14/2008 be amended to include 8 additional ground-level residential units and reducing the commercial area by the same amount of space, 8,927 square feet. The existing certificate grants relief from zoning sections 5-4J4C3, 5-4J4B, 83A, 5-4J3B, and any other relief. Reason for asking relief: the existing use is a 127-unit residential apartment community and approximately 25,854 square feet of commercial space. The commercial space consists of individual general businesses, some storage, and some manufacturing. Much of the commercial space has been vacant for several years for lack of demand, while demand and occupancy have remained high for the apartments. The owner seeks to convert approximately 8,927 square feet of the ground level commercial space into 8 residential apartments. And they've supplied a memorandum and plans. This case was advertised in the Whitman Hanson Express on June 5th and June 12th. Sitting on the case will be Mr. Whitman, Mr. Keeman, Mr. Curran, Mr. Kimball, and myself, John Goldrosen. This time we'll have the reading of the list of abutters, unless I hear a motion to waive the reading.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading of the abutters. Motion
by Mr. Kimball. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Keeman. All in favor? 5-0. Okay, so all of you are here on this matter. Would you raise your right hand and take an oath? Do you solemnly swear to the evidence you shall give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, who's representing or starting representation? Would you?
I'll introduce myself. It's Michael Kiley, with the 7 Marble Street LLC manager and the president of Heritage Construction and Management Company in Quincy, 70 Quincy Ave, Quincy, Mass. Members, thank you for the time tonight. Board, we, as you know, this goes back to 2009-10, where we actually constructed this building. It was done by my father and I. And in the middle of this project, my dad had a major stroke, debilitating stroke. So I stepped in and finished half the building on the other side before we got occupancy. It's been managed for 15, 16 years now that we've not been running. And I think you'll notice lately we've started to make some serious improvements where we're starting to do some doors, we're doing the windows. Because this was a historic renovation, historic tax credits were procured during this process. We had to do basically identical materials to what was there from 100 years ago. And we chose wood, and wood just doesn't hold up well. So what we're doing is we're replicating the windows now. We've already went through the recapture period historic, but you won't notice a difference when you see the windows. We're doing the 6/6 grids, and then we'll be painting. We're doing something similar in Rockland where we have Emerson shoe lofts, where the painters are down there with our lifts doing windows, and they're probably about 40% painted in that project. We've got our last run of windows that got delivered today, and we'll be finishing up windows and then painting the rest of that, painting this building next. As we all know, COVID, I don't ever like to use a COVID card, but you can't help it. And when you have new buildings, like for instance, where with Whitman Wellness, we had they took two of the corner back units, which, basically right here, this was Whitman Wellness for years. They have a new building built up on Washington Street. They go procure the tenants, and the tenants leave and they go there. So what we have found is this area right here, this is Marble Street right here. This over here is South Ave, where we are out front. And as you can see, this area here is where we have the general business use that we feel that would be the most appropriate for this area, because you can see it on South Ave. On this side of the street is really tough to see. It's a very residential area where Whitman Wellness was. And then this area here, where we want to put the residential units, is in the very back of the building. They get no visibility whatsoever. So when you're trying to rent this stuff out to the general business district, it's just almost impossible unless if somebody needs a quasi little office space somewhere, which most people don't anymore. They do it from home. So, and then this area right here, these three units, this is Timeout Sports. Mm-hmm. They're a good tenant. They're a good user. They use it. They use all this space. This space here is RJ Shepherd, and they're a good user. They will stay. This here, right in the middle here, actually over here, there was Plush. Plush was here, and they want a little more space, so we moved them up here. So now these are all filled here. We have Wicked Lofts, and then we have Shift Painting. Shift, just so you know, Shift is also owned by our maintenance man, so it's kind of not like a real commercial use per se, because he does stuff for us, so it's kind of, we stick him in there. It's not like it's a real, it doesn't behoove us to get a lot of rent from this guy. That does a lot of work for us. So what we wanted to do here is take these four areas, and just to give you a little background, some of these spaces here have been vacant for 10 to 15 years. I mean, there hasn't been a tenant here. So it's just sitting here looking at this, it's just impossible. And Emerald Isle was in here years ago. They left. They're on South Ave up the street. There's much more visibility up there. It just doesn't really make sense for this to go on the way it is right here. So basically what we want to do is 4 units here and 4 units here. Of these 4 units, all of these have a recessed overhang where you'd have a door in each way, door in there, directly from the outside. Over here in the back, you'd have direct access to the outside on this one unit. These 3 units would be accessed through the hallway. No different. So what we would do over the years, we have our leasing office right here. Over the years, we've upgraded this hallway where we had nicer lighting, and we'll go back in and upgrade these hallways again because we know we'll have residential people going in and out. So what we're asking for is not dramatically different than we did on the other side of the street. As you know, the west side, all the residential's on the first floor. Don't think it's an enormous change from our standpoint. So we wanted to try to just come in and see what you guys thought of this. In the stand, we have Ed Fleming. He's a good friend of mine, personal friend and attorney that has done the last 20 years all the approvals we've done in Quincy and Weymouth recently. Keith Larson behind him is my director of property management in-house counsel, and then Jessica Cornell is the property manager on site. So she's here as well today. So I just wanted to leave with that. I really hope we can have this work done. We would have the windows and the painting done. All these windows on the ground floor just got delivered today. So they'll start replacing all those ground floor windows. Almost everything in this space, and Bob, I think you know this, all this space, we have electrical, we have HVAC. Really, the only thing we don't have in some of these is plumbing. So this would be an easy design build to do this stuff. I hope that you guys are happy with the way we run the project and the way we present it. I think it's a well-needed apartment project in the community. So with that, I wanted to finish up and see if you have any questions for us.
Okay.
And I'll turn over to Ed Fleming.
Okay. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the board,
go
thank you. My name is Edward Fleming. I'm an attorney in Quincy. It's Fleming. Sorry, I don't have a card for you tonight. I just wanted to highlight that what we've done is we've tailored this as an amendment of the earlier decision, of the 2008 decision. Because really, the decision, as you know, granted the variance from Section 5(4)J, 4C3, which is the allowing the residential units on the first floor. As you know, you allowed, I think, 23 units in the other building. So what we're doing is we're seeking an amendment of that decision to essentially expand the variance that was granted to allow the residential units on that first floor. So that's really the request that we're making tonight. As Mike kind of indicated, I mean, these units are really buried away from the frontage, and we drove actually through the center, which has really become even more vibrant recently with some of the renovations of the buildings in the downtown. And a lot of those retail tenants have really found space in those spaces that have much better visibility. These spaces really don't have the level of visibility, certainly that the front of the building does, that's on South Street. So that's our request for you tonight. We could certainly, with the manager here, she can certainly address any questions that you may have about the ability to rent this space, but it's been vacant for some time.
Yeah. And so, Mr. Fleming, just to clarify, is that the only I know we granted a bunch of variances and site plan approval, but that's the only one that we really need to update?
Yes, I believe, Mr. Chairman, that's the only amendment of that decision. So we're basically changing it from 24 units on the first floor now to adding another 8 in this particular location of the building. And
is this building referred to as Site 2? Is it Site 1 on the west? So this is Site 2?
It is.
Okay. Before I go to members of the board, I'll read some letters into the record, and I meant to state, just for the record, actually nobody currently sitting on the board sat on the case back
Except
when
for Wayne that just left.
Yeah. And Bob Curran was the building commissioner at the time. But just for the record, I was on the board at the time. I recused myself then because at the time I was a municipal attorney and I represented Rockland, and your project in Rockland was sitting before the board at the time, so I didn't feel I could appropriately sit on this case. I'm now retired. There's no issue now. That one's long done and gone with. Okay, let me read some letters from other town boards, and then we'll go to questions from members of the board. From Whitman Fire Rescue and Emergency Services. Whitman Fire Rescue and Emergency Services has no issues with this proposal, provided that all applicable fire and building codes are met. Sincerely, Nicholas Grasso, Deputy Fire Chief. From the building commissioner, who is on vacation this week, so that's why he's not with us, but he sent a letter. I have received and reviewed the application to amend application 21-2008 dated 11/14/2008 to include 8 additional ground-level residential units and reduce the commercial area by the same amount of space, 8,927 square feet, 7 commercial units. At this time, I have no objection to this proposal. All applicable building codes shall be met, and it will be necessary for a building permit to be issued by this office prior to construction. Respectfully, Robert Piccarelli, Whitman Building Commissioner. From the Board of Health, the Whitman Board of Health has no objections for the petition of 7 Marble Street LLC for an amendment to the 2008 decision that granted site plan approval, a special permit, and several variances for the property located at 7 Marble Street in order to allow the conversion of 8,927 square feet of ground-level commercial space into an additional 8 residential apartments. DPW records indicate that the covered property is connected to municipal water and sewer. Sincerely, Dan Kelly, health agent. We also received a copy of a letter, Mr. Kiley, to you from the Board of Selectmen dated June 4th, related to some rental payments for
Yes.
lease of Whitman land. Do you want
Yes.
apparently there was money due on that. So.
I don't want to muddy the waters on this one. So on the town lease,
Explain, because I'm not even
So-
familiar with them.
back in 2009, when we got approvals, 2008, I wish I didn't bring an exhibit, but I have it in a small plan.
Yeah.
So back in this area here, I can show you if you want. So this is Marble Street right here. So this is the office, the bar. This is your town cable. Okay.
Yeah.
So during this process and in the zoning decision, in order to make this work, we had to lease land from the town. Okay?
Is that the land right behind the office?
Correct.
Okay.
Behind the office and behind the
Okay.
your
Okay.
the cable. And what happened was agreed to a lease. And so when I called and I talked to, is anyone who is Mary Beth. Yeah, I talked to Mary Beth. She said, talk to the board when you're there. So what happened here is this was the original 4,000 odd square feet that we had. The project didn't work without it. And everyone knew about it. And through the zoning process, we had to have this to do. But the problem that happened is it just got a lease signed. And the lease signed really didn't address how to deal with this in the future. It just had an end date. The end date came and went and it's never been dealt with. So I wanted to call Mary Beth and say, this is kind of crazy what's going on. First of all, it started with we pay 100% of the assessed value of the town property. Then when we did the as-built, there was a little bit extra where it just went over. And then it was so they established a value of 25% above and beyond. So now we pay 125% of the assessed value. It's getting exorbitant, the amount of costs of paying this lease fee. It's not like a typical structure where you do a lease and you get like a 2% increase and you have a 10-year lease. I said at this point in time, why can't we look at either we purchase an easement, a reciprocal easement, or have some other solution where there's an end date here, because it's just growing and growing. It's like an avalanche for us. And nothing's really changing for us here. So that's what I respectfully requested. I wanted to talk to her about. And then she said, well, it was Frank, right? Before?
Frank Lyman.
Yeah, Frank Lyman before that did this. Unfortunately, I wasn't even part of doing the lease, unfortunately, at the time. But it seems exorbitant, the amount of cost that keeps increasing. And then I suggested, hey, would you guys ever sell? I said, would you ever sell? I mean, it makes sense to even buy. It's right behind the cable company. So if you go back and behind the cable company across the street, there's a mulch area and there's a fence.
Yeah, so it's this area here.
Yes. So we have to drive over that. But right now, that was never even used, even day one. It was almost like maybe John Campbell was using it for I don't know how long, and nobody realized it. But when we went and did all the proper paperwork, we found out that by the hard times that this is actually not our land. And that's what happened.
It's vacant, you're not using it all up, parking?
No, yeah, of course. You drive over it, and there are a couple of parking spaces. It's like a driving lane in.
But you're not coming from South Ave, so.
No, it's coming right off of Marble.
Off of Marble.
Yeah, so we have, this land is ours here. What it did is it trapped us from getting around the building. is what it
Okay,
did.
so this was to give you access
Yes.
to around the building.
Yes.
So why don't you buy Copley's building?
That still wouldn't do it.
It's still,
It's still kitty corner. It's this.
It still wouldn't give you the
Listen,
swinging around the
if
building.
there's a way we can buy your cable building, then buy that building, then we can make something work. Otherwise, I mean, this is a tiny site. I know.
Copley, is he still gonna move forward, you know?
I
You know
don't.
he's gonna approve.
I know. I talked to Jess a little bit about it, but it's what was it? I don't even know. It was 20
You
units.
see 3-story.
Yeah. I don't even know what ended
It
up
was
getting
commercial on
approved.
the first floor, and yeah, you'd have to see the decision.
Yeah.
But he hasn't moved on it, and somebody said they thought he back.
Yeah. All right, well,
No, I haven't heard anything.
yeah,
And that's been a little while.
all right.
A couple of years.
Yeah.
At least.
It is. I know. She had no question. They don't want to sell the cable.
Yeah.
May I ask, were variances granted for that development, or?
Well, that's was allowed by
I
right.
think we, because it's a multi-use overlay district, there might have been a variance to allow ground floor use. I
It was
believe.
1 unit ground floor.
The
One
only
floor.
reason I say that is
So
because there's only a
commercial
year,
with 1 unit.
There's
on
not-
the
excuse
first
me?
floor.
so there's only 1 year, life to that variance, so.
Yeah, although the state just passed, you know, about the State Tolling Act,
Right.
so that's extending it a couple of years too.
I mean,
Anyway.
I think, if I may.
Yes.
I think the issue, and Mike just kind of explained this issue to me earlier tonight. I think the issue really is gonna have to be something we're gonna have to discuss with the selectmen to determine what's the best solution to the lease.
Well, that doesn't affect what you want.
No, it doesn't affect us. So that I really don't want to muddy the waters because I don't
No,
want
the only reason that if you owed taxes on your building, there's a bylaw and a state law that we can't give.
But we don't owe taxes on the
Permit.
building.
Exactly. I'm saying if you did, we wouldn't be able to move
Yeah.
on this because you owe money to the town. This is kind of different. And I'm inclined to just
You know,
say this is between you and
I
the
know.
select board. not-
I know. You know what should have happened? It should have been something where it was a lease to buy. I mean, it just seems.
So how many years has this gone?
It's 16 years.
Right, but you said there was an initial lease and you were like.
There was an initial lease, and it says it expires in 2000. not gonna
I was
believe
just
this.
wondering how many years the initial lease was.
I think it expired in 2000 in the lease itself. Hold on. Before I say it, it says it expires in 2012.
2012?
Yeah, it was a 3-year lease, and I was like, how could that possibly be? You know the building's being built. It can't survive without it. It started, you want to know over the years, the assessed value today, and from the time from inception today, the assessed value is $431,500. And what they do is they take it times 125%. Because we use, well,
A little bit more. Than,
you're going to plead to my
a little bit
case.
more than the land, yeah.
You're going to plead to my case. Because originally there was we agreed to 100% of the assessed value of the property for 4,700 or 4,900 square feet. Don't mark me on that. And then what happened was when we went to do the as-built, we realized we needed another 3,000 square feet. So, or whatever it was on there. And they calculated as 125% of value. And it was unused land anyhow. It's behind a fence.
I think it's obviously beneficial to the town because at the end of the day, my understanding is the town really wasn't even using the land.
It's worthless without.
Yeah, so it makes sense for us to have a discussion
Right.
with the selectmen.
And you need to have a discussion because if you ever go to sell the
Yeah,
building,
exactly. I
you
know.
got a problem,
I know.
right? So
Well, we're not running away from anything. We're here.
Yeah.
I don't plan on selling the building.
I think we'll just note in the decision that we concluded this was really outside our jurisdiction. If anybody on the board want to discuss, I just think it's, as I say, if it was your building, and we do call people to account when they come before us and they have unpaid taxes, and we say, pay those taxes or we won't make a decision. But this is different. So
Should there be something, Mr. Chairman, should there be something in the decision saying that they can't move forward until this is resolved?
Please don't.
yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
You can say we suggest they have, you can.
I'll put in a decision.
Yeah.
I mean, we can. I think we should probably put in a decision, even the decision itself, the end section at the end, that we considered this issue and determined that it was a matter to be resolved between the applicant and the select board. Just so Mary Beth knows, we've kicked it back to her. Yeah, whether it's, whether it's some sort of payment for a permanent easement or whatever. I mean, you start selling it, now you get into.
Oh, there's no question. I know.
I was going to say, if the town were to put it up for sale, you ever have the risk, it'd have to be a 30B process, and somebody else might bid on it, and who knows what happens. So, okay. Having addressed that, let me go to members of the board then for their comments and questions. Mr. Winnett, anything?
There are 3 questions. What's above the apartments? What's above your proposed apartments now on the second floor?
It's all
It's
apartments,
all.
the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah. Are they similar
Very
design?
similar. Very similar, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so septic on the first floor. You mentioned plumbing. Must be septic there already, right?
No, it's on sewer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, but there's connections.
Yes, it's all crawl space under
Yeah,
it.
there's just no domestic plumbing.
No.
It's all commercial. Okay. Okay. And then, what does this do to your parking?
Excuse me?
What does this do, having the apartments? Is it
Yeah, I think you go into that in this
We went
memo.
into it in that memo.
Yeah, why don't
We
you
look like
go
we're
through
gonna
that,
gain-
'cause
We're gonna gain probably 15 spaces,
Okay.
because
because it's
just,
less use.
again, to put it on the record, so how many spaces were required for the, based on the square footage? You have it as 29,
I think it's 15.
yeah, with 8,927 square feet, 300 square feet, a parking space for every 300 square feet for the commercial space, 29 spaces were required. And again, just for the record, because I was going to ask this, you're proposing 4 one-bedroom units and 4 two-bedroom units. So that's
13.2.
13 plus, so say 14 spaces, so gaining about 15 spaces.
Significantly less demand for
Yeah.
residential.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Okay, all right, Mr. Keeman?
I have no questions at this time.
Okay. Mr. Curran?
Thank you. John, is that within the MBTA community act?
No,
Why not?
because we put it all down at the other end of the town, yeah.
But it's within
The
quarter of a
multi-use,
mile of the train.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just for that reason alone, especially with the new housing push in Massachusetts. But I do want to know, what do you know about Copley? Yeah. I mean, I think I called you to see if you guys would just go buy it.
I don't know. We've talked about it in the past. It's just. I gotta be careful. What I tell you. It's an ugly eyesight.
What do you know about it? Do you
I don't know much. Last time we
So you guys haven't heard from
No.
I know when they came before us, we made them totally revise the plan and downsize it because they didn't have enough parking. And you've got
Small site.
parking right behind his building, it's saying to them, why don't you go
But do you
talk to these guys and work
Do you
something.
know him?
No.
You know him?
No. I never walked foot. I never stepped foot. in
Wayne,
the car.
the only reason I brought it up was because Wayne said something about he heard he died. But
That's irrelevant to this project.
Yeah,
I know, but I did ask Jessica to look into it, snoop around and see what's going on with it. Because
anyways, the other issue was Timeout Sports. What is generally their hours of operation?
Typically, it's supposed to start at 8, pretty much ends at 4.
Are you still
Yeah.
getting voice complaints from them?
No, thank you.
No,
I remember us. Yeah, he moved.
That would be my concern, that maybe you could do something to increase the sound attenuation.
well, the good news is all of these we would actually sheetrock underside that would help some of the noise. But in timeout, it's difficult. It's we'd have to get in there into their space and really disrupt
Oh,
them.
you could do it in the new construction.
Yeah, in the new construction, we absolutely are.
because you have a corridor between timeout and the
Correct.
new
A lot of
apartments.
this vibration that they hear.
Yeah, a lot of it's up above
It
them.
is, yeah.
That's the problem because they hear the vibration.
You mean a lot of the complaints
Yeah.
were the units above them? Okay.
Yeah, if you could do whatever you can do to keep it from bothering the people in the new apartments,
Yeah.
because that's what happens is they get in there and they think it's
I know.
always been like that.
I know.
But I think you guys did a really good job with the building. It's never been safer.
Thank you.
As long as you're keeping it up, I
Yeah.
think it's great. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Kimball?
No, my only comment was about during construction noise mitigation, but I think that's been addressed, so no more comments, Mr. Chairman.
So, and what is involved in construction for the 8 units?
The beauty of all this, really, the beauty of all this right here, we're doing all the windows now. So as you see, all the windows get done in the paint. So all these windows, I said, came today. So all around, anywhere on the first floor that has windows, getting new windows in the next 2 weeks. So the windows are done. This basically turns into a tenant fit out inside. It's really minimal. We're gonna have to deal with the tenants like we do anything. Just so you know, even if we had a new commercial tenant come in, we would have to most likely do something. When Plush moved in over here, we did construction. So someone was above it upstairs, we deal with it. So it's almost the same process. You know, all your electricals in there, all your sprinklers in there, it's all your HVAC is in there. It's really just a design build inside on the mechanicals. So we'll have to deal with it inside. You know, quite frankly, we would have the same problem if we had general business moving back in there, most likely.
Anything else, Mr. Kimball?
No,
Okay.
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, just a few questions. I'll note for the record of one of the variances we gave, or this board gave, back in 2008 was for the parking spaces to allow them to be 9 by 18. So we're stuck with that one, I guess. Where would the parking be for the units next to timeout?
So we don't actually designate parking spaces. We have them all numbered, and the reason we have it all numbered is because if somebody's car is sitting there, broken window, we can call and say space 18. So we always find it's appropriate to have numbered spaces. We've tried this before down in Rockland to actually assign spaces. A disaster. An absolute, ask Jessica, a disaster. Someone's parked in my space and it's never going to happen. So most likely what these people are going to do, they're going to try to park out front here.
Yeah.
And then these people park around back.
So there is parking
Yeah,
right on the
there's
side. I
parking
knew there
around
was
the back,
parking
yeah.
out front of the,
Yeah.
yeah,
And again, it's only 4 units.
yeah,
If they
okay.
park around back, can they get to those 4 parks?
Yes. So right here, believe it or not, this one unit here that I'm circling, that has a direct door from the outside. These 4 have direct doors. These 3 are the only 3 that you come in this way, or you can come in this way through the commercial doors.
Okay, so their access is really from Marble Street, for the car, there's a corridor.
Right
from
here.
Marble
See this right here? That's
Yeah.
Marble. You can go this way, but you're not going to want to probably, unless if you want to go over here, cross the bridge and go to the pool, or you can come in this way. See this corridor?
Okay. Okay, so that door.
Yeah, and there's parking
Next to
all back there as
timeout,
well.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. And you've,
2 bedrooms, how many?
4.
there's gonna be 4 one-bedroom
Four.
units and 4 two-bedroom. Do you know where,
The tools are over here.
are the 2s down on Marble Street?
They're spread out. This one here is a 2.
Okay,
This one here is a 2. And then this one's a 1-bed. And it actually, no, this is, yeah. And then this one here these have studies. See them little tiny studies in the front.
okay, okay. Let's see. I guess I was gonna ask if there's any issues, building code or fire code issues, but that would be really, if you had residential space and you were changing it to commercial, now you'd have issues with the upper floors, but this is the opposite, so there's really no problem with that, I assume, but we'll put in the decision that all fire code and building code provisions shall be met. With the tax credits, I know you had historic tax credits, and I don't know what grants or whatever you got, but I know you've,
This has been placed on the historic register.
right.
Yeah.
So you've, in terms of affordable units, is part of the project under affordable requirements? No? Okay. So you've had Section 8 housing credit?
Okay, yeah, occasionally, not too much in this.
Okay, but you weren't required to,
No.
because that was gonna be I didn't know if that was part of your deal for the original tax credits and grants, if you were locked into a certain number of affordable units, and I was going to say what happens with the 8. But if you're not under that, that's fine. Yeah, that's really all I have. Many years ago, I went to classes for a while at the Whitman Wellness Center. And frankly, I remember it was a bit of a pain to find parking for that. These were early morning classes, like 5 or 6 in the morning. And so all the people who lived there were there. And it was, you had to kind of find some spaces. So I'm sure that was probably a continuing problem for them too. And I fully understand that it could be.
We tried even designating spaces for them, and it was difficult to do.
Yeah.
Down that end of the building is very difficult.
Yeah. And I can understand the visibility issue. I mean, if you're coming before us and wanting to change the status of like the wicked loft space or that, I'd have a concern about that. We want to preserve that space, commercial space on South Ave. But what you're doing, and given the demand for apartments in the town, I don't see this having any negative impact. And I will just say, what is one of the best things that happened for this town, that you were able to preserve that building there. They're knocking down a Victorian mansion right down the street from you this week that came before us a few months ago, and they're going to put an apartment building up there. And we said, isn't there some way you can save this building? And they explained to us that the owner had done nothing to maintain the building. It just wasn't salvageable. So, just imagine if this building had been torn down, it was sitting vacant or whatever for the last 15 years. So it was a good thing that it happened.
So you had 127?
127, yep.
You never finished the tower. That was going to be Fred's.
I knew that was going to
Some of Fred's dreams died with Fred.
If he was still here, I'm sure he would have.
I thought no Freddie Shine.
Oh God, Freddie Shine, bless his soul too. He's passing, so it's not many of the old guys left, unfortunately.
Okay. Any members of the public here to speak on this? Yes. Give us your name and address for the record.
Michael Delpreet, 149 Broad Street, right on the corner of Fulton. I just came to see what was going on, where he was actually talking about it. Actually,
You can come up and take a look.
I know, sorry, this is the back, this is you.
Yes.
So
I think I have an idea.
that's the footprint of that left side building.
Yeah.
And you can see in the back.
The lower right-hand corner is where Whitman Wellness Center was.
Yeah.
And then the upper left is next to
And it does.
Time.
It makes total sense for what Mike's planned, and it's just kind of a no-brainer because being in business myself, you need the visibility, and it just seems like it's a really good idea. I have one other concern though.
Yep.
One little thing, and I'm kind of glad you guys are all here. For some reason, the residents across the street from that place love to sit in their cars at crazy hours of the night with their headlights on. It glares right into my bedroom window. I want to murder somebody some days. Yeah.
Jessica, you listening?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand where your house is from
It's-
the building. You're on Broad, you said.
I'm on Broad Street.
Okay.
He's diagonally like towards Fleming's.
Yeah.
I do know where, you said Fullerton.
Fullerton, yeah.
Fullerton,
Yeah.
yeah. I have to find
I'm
out.
right on that corner, and my bedroom
Okay.
is right on the first floor, right on the front corner.
Okay, so I'm guessing would it be the east parking lot or not really? Because they park towards the building.
They park closer to where Marble Street is.
Okay.
And there was a guy in a Cadillac, looked like a UFO coming through my window at like 12 o'clock at night. He's just sitting there talking to his girlfriend. I actually stormed out over there, and I just went right to him, and I'm like, please, for the love of God.
I mean, you guys must have cameras there, right?
We do.
Yeah.
We have plenty of cameras.
It just happened the other
So
night.
you should just keep a log and record time, date and time,
Yeah, I can give
and
you.
then talk to her.
Yeah, I can give you my contact info and you
Well,
can reach
just
out
a-
to me so I can reach
I
out to the residents.
didn't know if there was something you could send out to all
Absolutely.
the residents. Or
Yeah.
maybe they can put up their own fence. But then,
The roses look really good.
yeah, I know. The property does look nice.
Thank
You guys do a very good job. And, but yeah, that's the one thing I think is
No,
an issue.
thank you.
Everything else, Hey, God bless you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
just tame some of the residents and, give them a little wake-up call.
Yeah, thank
It's,
you.
it gets old.
You, just so I don't have to go look it up, do you have the book and page number for the recording of the decision? The 2008 decision, because I just want to reference that in the decision.
I do have it.
I think I saw it on there.
I don't need it for the ownership of the property, but when the decision was recorded.
Did I not bring the stamped one? Hold on.
Yeah, it wouldn't be on that, it'd be when you brought it to the, I can look it up.
Oh, on the original, on the application, you mean? Would it be on the application?
No, it wouldn't be on the application.
You're talking about the original one in 2009?
Yeah, just you gave us a
Yep.
copy of the recorded decision, but if you had the book and page number, it would just save me looking it up.
No, it's not in there.
Keith, did you put it in there?
Hopefully you recorded it.
It wouldn't have been a permit.
No, I just don't think so. That's all right. I can look up easily enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna find it anyhow, but.
Okay. All right. Anything else from the members of the board before I close the hearing?
I just wanted to tell you, the stained glass window that's on the end of the building, that came from the First Baptist Church on the corner.
So nice.
Yeah, I gave that to,
Awesome.
donated that to.
We kept it.
Thank you.
Keep cleaning, please.
Thank you, please.
You're welcome. Looks great.
Yeah, I was just reading, actually, it was an email, they buzz around email, something that, so where Wicked Loft is a converted church.
Yep.
It was a Unitarian church, I guess. And when they went out of operation, somehow got merged into the ownership of this property and built the connection and used it. So that got preserved too.
Time Out was there.
Yeah.
Time Out was there.
Yeah.
And we moved them into the back.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, anything else? All right, so I think all that we really need to vote on or to have a motion on is to amend the previously granted decision. I'll reference the whole thing, the site plan approval, special permit and variance, to modify, let me get the current numbering here.
The 8,000 square feet.
Yeah, I just want to get the section of the bylaw here.
Yeah. It's 54J.
Yeah, I'm just, okay. So this is 240-54J, which is, J is the multiple use overlay district provisions. And in that, for C3, dealt with uses, and C3 says, C says, residential units may be located on the upper floors of commercial buildings as part of a mixed-use development without limitation as to percentage of total floor area, provided the building is located to the public sewer system. It's actually subsection 2 says no units are located on street level or within a basement. And there are other.
John, that mixed-use overlay district didn't exist.
It must have existed at that time because
No, it didn't.
Oh, do you think it was the? Anybody have a copy of the old bylaw? No, I think it must have, Bob, because it was in the original decision.
No, the mixed-use overlay didn't exist until, was it 5 years?
No, we've had it quite a while. That was what's his name? Who was the attorney? Dennis Regan. That was his doing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because all the provisions in the decision refer to
Yeah, I
that.
think it was different for commercial, but then we changed it to
You think it was
downtown
amended?
general business.
Okay.
So it was still J, let's see.
I'm just looking because the current JC2 is the one that
So the
says,
language was the same, so I guess that didn't exist when this was
Yeah.
approved.
and also there's a provision that all units must have two means of egress separate from the commercial use. No access to or egress from any unit shall be through a commercial establishment. So do these new units have two means of?
Three of them will be through the commercial, but
Yeah.
it depends if you call it commercial now.
It's really the hallway, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a hallway.
right. Anyway, I just want to make sure we're giving the appropriate variances here.
What about the front ones here?
So these,
Is there access from
right here, these all have direct access to the outside. This is the front. It's a recessed.
And actually, the provision about two means of egress was assuming they were upper floors. That was the concern.
And those,
Right, and he has to just follow the building code.
Yeah. So for the ground floor units, it really doesn't matter. So
those units have two means because they have a front door and the back door goes to a hallway system.
to the hallway. Okay, so they've got two means of egress, and it's separate from they're not going through a commercial use.
No.
So I think that's okay. Well, I'll just refer to 240-54 JC, and the subsection not currently is subsection 2, saying no units are located on street level within a basement.
Was that
So-
formerly 3?
It might have been, although I'm not aware of any change to that.
Okay.
I don't remember us
And the
making.
issues overlay district didn't exist like it does now.
Think-
Because as soon as that happened, you started seeing what happened.
Yeah, but it had to have been.
How long ago did you get your permit for that?
2008.
2008. It had to
2009,
Yeah, so,
2008.
yeah, mixed use overlay district.
Yeah.
be. Yeah, it had to be here. Yeah.
Well, that language was there, but I think it just got adopted and changed to a new bylaw.
I think we only renumbered the bylaw. I don't think there was any change.
Well, you remember the one that was denied because of that? There was one, but then Reagan came up with it. It went for approval, and then didn't that get rejected?
No, it's just the state law thing got rejected, but I don't remember anything in the multiple use getting rejected. So anyway, I mean,
Yeah, it's the language is still the same.
yeah, we'll. Should be. It could just have been an error in citing the provision at that time. So what we're looking for is an amendment to the previous decision to amend the variance that was previously granted for to allow residential units in the west building to be on the ground floor.
That's
To
East building.
East.
Yeah.
Well, the one we previously approved was the
west.
west wing. So the previous decision allowed ground floor units in the west building. We're amending the decision to allow 8 ground floor units in the east building as shown on the submitted plans and the memorandum in support of the application. And that's from 240-54 J4 C2. And reason being the experience has shown that the use of the space for commercial uses is not feasible. So I entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kimball and second. Second by Mr. Keeman. And I'll just add, I'll note in the decision too that the question of the lease payments was raised and the board felt this was outside their jurisdiction. It was a matter for negotiation between the town and the property owner.
Thank you.
Within a certain amount of time, or?
I don't think that. I just
I'm not going to look at it. Trust me, I haven't yet.
nothing's happened for 13 years, and I gather the town hasn't. How many years are unpaid? Several years are 4 years of.
But you know what? I never got an invoice. I
Exactly.
completely, utterly forgot when I somehow Frank left and it just,
Yeah.
So nobody's building.
no.
I think it was only this application that
They
prompted
do,
it.
they do acknowledge that it was a mistake, but, it's not like I have it as a repeat payment. I got a second invoice.
I'm not even sure what the look-back period is for paying property tax. It's outside our jurisdiction. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0. You're all set. Thank you so
very
much. Good luck with it.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank you very
Bob.
much.
Nice to see you.
You want that? No, I don't want it.
I'll hold on to it. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't need to be on the middle school building committee. Me? Yeah. Anybody's on that committee.
Actually,
They're partially,
I should have one. I should have a copy of that memorandum. In case I need to look at it when doing the decision. I thought it was the second copy.
right at the back corner. Oh, yeah. So they're walking that up.
They have to, sure. That was concerned with the school zone.
We take this.
Possibly come out and go up Phillips side, it's supposed to go right and go to the park.
I'll just hold on to this at least till I do the decision.
And it's 10 there.
Yeah. I haven't even watched it.
So just so I think, is that on the town website, the approved Coakley plan?
No, we have to get it from the building inspector.
Okay, all right.
Or the town clerk,
Yeah.
but I would go to the building inspector, I think he's on vacation.
But
from
you
there.
got-
He thinks it's 12 units or something?
Check it out.
Give me, if I have your email, I've got a copy on my computer I could
Okay.
just email it to.
All right, she's got my card. Awesome.
Okay.
All right, thanks again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
You guys went first, do you?
Excuse me?
You don't
In
have
that
first,
big
do you?
plan.
You have a card?
Thank you
No.
very much. Have a
But it takes, we got 2 weeks to file the decision, we'll get notified.
Totally property.
Oh,
Falls through then.
I'll send, I'll get his email from Carol. I'll send him a copy. I have a copy on my computer. It's not the official copy, but it'll let you know what we approved.
I'm gonna try to get that one. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Okay. We have minutes to approve for case number 10, V&V Whitman, which was the 769 Bedford Street, the amending the special permit for that, for the marijuana operation.
Motion.
And let's see who is here for that. So myself, Bob Curran, Bob Keeman, it'd just be the three of us to vote on that one.
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Keeman, all in favor, 3-0. And then the general minutes and
Motion.
motion by Mr. Curran,
Second.
second by Mr. Keeman. So for that one, Ed can count on that one too. All in favor? 4-0 on that one. Okay, so we have a meeting on July 14th. I'll be back from Scotland by then, with two cases. One is 74 Franklin, the duplex with the extra bedroom, and the other is on Washington. Oh, the 1044 Washington Street at the corner of Washington and Beulah, where they want to put a daycare center in on the basement. And nothing else? So with luck, we well, we certainly won't have any more meetings in July, and maybe not August. We'll see what happens.
The marijuana, the dispensary that's up near McDonald's there, there's
Yeah.
still not open.
No.
Yeah, well,
And I talked to Sweezy, who's the owner of the building.
yeah,
And he said the town did this, not the state. Do you
town
know any better than that?
is holding it up.
The town is the reason why it got held up, not the state. So, and I said, I disagree with that from what
Yeah.
I hear.
Right.
It was in cannabis control.
Yeah, no, I mean, all they needed was,
They're talking about September.
yeah,
They did put the sign up though.
Yeah.
There's a sign up, but there's a sign
Do you
on.
want his email address?
No, that's so you can't see, but there's a notice on the door that says opening soon.
no, I mean, he needed the special permit from us and the host community agreement from selectmen, which I think the
And
selectmen,
I was under the impression everybody was having that same problem. But
Yeah.
they're saying all these other ones have already got approved and opened since that one got approved.
all the other ones, meaning others in the state.
Other ones in this state.
Oh yeah, Brockton.
Brockton had 3 of them open that applied 4 months ago. It just, I didn't have any foundation to back it up. But
No, he needed,
Did the town drag their feet in the selectmen's office?
no. When they came in and, we worked out how to handle the host community agreement. And I think I'm pretty sure the selectmen went ahead and signed the host community agreement before they even, they
There was agreement.
trusted them to come and apply to us. And, and I said, look, just go ahead. So I'm pretty sure the host community agreement's been signed. So no, we didn't. We only held it up because the town didn't want to sign a new host community agreement until they came to us, and whatever time it took for us to handle the application. But
Well, that might
It
have
was-
been 8-10 weeks.
yeah, that was like last November, December, I think. So no, it's all on the state. Yeah. So okay, can everybody make the July 14th meet? You're going to be away.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure when I'm going back yet,
Yeah. Okay.
but I'll let you know.
Okay, but I think, Harold was sick tonight, and I think Dick Blas might have told me he was going to be away tonight, and I forgot, I think, so we'll be fine, so. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kendall, second by Mr. Curran, all in favor? So moved. The meeting is adjourned.